Feeling a little stressed out these days? Well, you're not the only one. A new report out says that today's tweens, that's children between the ages of 7 and 11, may be feeling more stressed than ever. It may not be a surprise when you consider some of the reasons why. From the senseless violence in the news.
Sometimes stuff happens around school and stuff, and people start stuff.
The effects of climate change.
It's killing all the animals and melting all the icebergs.
To all those tests in school.
I worry about like math and social studies because last time I almost flunked my social studies test.
Kids are stressed out.
They're being pushed, they're being prodded, they're being made to feel afraid.
A recent study by Cambridge University says children between the ages of 7 and 11 worry daily about terrorism, their friendships, and have a pessimistic view about the world they're growing up in.
The parents are stressed because they're working, and all of this is seeping down into the kids. And then you wonder why the kids are angry, fighting, bringing guns to school, separating from their parents. The kids know something is wrong.
Jennifer Dorr is a mother of 2.
They definitely pick up on my stress and my husband's stress. They're like little sponges, so we can sense a change in their behavior when they know that we're stressed out about our own work or both of us having to work really hard in terms of making a living.
You look up to the sky.
Realizing that kids need to unwind and relieve some of life's pressures, Shauna Meyerson developed a yoga class for kids called Mini Yogis.
What it's doing is it's allowing them a safe place, again, to try difficult things, to take risks without having to worry about failure. And it's extraordinarily empowering.
It's a hard knock life for us.
So whether it's stress from too much homework or anxiety from hearing bad news, kids might want to take the advice from someone who knows.
Just calm down and breathe in and out. It's the hard knock life.
Ronnie Cohen-Sandler is the author of Stressed Out Girls, and Denise Pope is the director of the Stressed Out Students Project at Stanford University. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
First, Denise, let's talk to you about whether you think this new finding from Cambridge University is consistent with what you're discovering there at Stanford.
Unfortunately, it is. We are seeing kids more stressed out today. We've got a study here locally from Lucille Packard Foundation for Children's Health. 1,800 parents were surveyed. Top concern was the amount of stress their kids were facing, mostly due to academic pressure and homework. Well,
you know, academic and pressure and homework, it may be sort of understandable when you're talking about children maybe 13 and up, but according to this study, they're talking about kids as young as 7. Can you give us any more clarity as to why children so young are feeling so much stress?
Well, children that are really young these days are also facing a lot of homework. They're facing more of the testing that we've seen. They're also overscheduled outside of school, so they might be starting their homework a lot later. And there's a lot more pressure on them to be mini adults, even at the ages of 7, 8, or 9.
Something I know some of the people watching may be asking themselves is the sort of question about whether or not this is in sync with the idea that we're not getting enough family time. At the same time, we're hearing all this talk about how we need to sit down at the table once a day and have dinner, and that our children are overscheduled, but that they're actually not getting enough one-on-one time with their parents. Is there a connection, do you believe?
I think there's definitely a connection. I mean, the #1 way to check in with your kids each day is to have a meal, but when they're running off to soccer and flute practice and sitting down for homework, it's really tough to find time to fit that in, especially with parents who are stressed out and working 24/7 as well.
Okay, so stand by, Denise, because I'm going to now ask Ronnie, because Ronnie, you actually did a survey of some 3,000 middle and high school students.
Right.
These are kids a little bit older than the group we're talking about in the Cambridge study.
Yes.
And these are both boys and girls, and you found that girls are actually more stressed out than boys. Why?
Yes, that's right. A couple of reasons. One is that they go through their school day very differently. Relationships are really important to them. In this culture, they're trying to please their parents and their teachers very, very much, which boys don't often do. Also, they have much more stress about their appearance. And in my study, they were 55% more likely than boys were to say that they put pressure on themselves to get good grades and do well in school.
Let's take a look at a graphic of some of the symptoms of stress, change in personality or of behavior, symptoms of headaches, stomach aches, change in attitude about school, wanting to quit their activities. The question now then is, what do we do about it? If you see in your child any of these behaviors, you really need to take action. So let's talk about what we can do. Ronnie, you say that we need to, first of all, limit their schedules. That's easy to say, not easy to do.
You know, every parent wants to give their child all the opportunities they possibly can, and they're thinking ahead to college and want to have a good resume. But the important thing is to think about your child as a whole person.
Also,
and they want to be well.
And be well means one way you can really do that is if you make that family time sacred.
I believe
Last night I made dinner and nobody got to sit down because they got distracted by everything else.
Right.
And it was frustrating. But every night making a dinner.
Every night.
So
That's
that
right.
you can be
you
together.
Don't want to be running around. You're conveying a value that the family time and the time to be a balanced person is much more important than one more thing on that resume.
Focus on inner qualities. How?
Yes. You don't want your children to feel like they have to prove themselves all the time. You want to tell them that they're good because who they are, not what they do.
They're valuable just because they were born and because they're a member of this family. Also monitor their own anxiety levels. And others, pay attention to this.
Parents' anxiety levels. That's right. Because when you're stressed out, it's going to be absolutely felt by your kids. They feel everything.
Denise, would you add anything to all of that?
Well, I absolutely agree with everything, and I'd also say you have to work with the schools because a part of this pressure is coming from this heavy, heavy load of homework and the push, push, push to get into higher honors-type classes to prepare for middle school and high school. So you've got to also work in concert with the schools and be an advocate for your kid.
All right, Denise Pope, thank you so much this morning for some good information. Ronnie Cohen-Sandler, thank you also. Maybe we've helped some girls and some boys, some children, some families this morning. And still to come here on Today.